shut that door. That's what I want to talk about today. Today I'm going to talk about the Shou Sugi Bond inspired burn and brush system that I use to get some really cool results with wood grain. Basically what I do is I take a piece of wood like this, I burn it, I brush it, I color it, and then I do stuff with it. Why should you listen to me? Let's just say I have a lot of experience doing this now. Over the last year, I've developed some pretty good systems on how to get this technique done. I'm gonna break this video up into several different videos. I think that it's probably gonna be better that way. I can maybe edit this down to 5 or so minutes as opposed to a 20-25 minute video that people don't have that much time to watch. So today, let's talk about wood selection. I have some unfinished pieces here. Now these haven't had anything done to them other than cut them. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about what I look for when I go to buy wood. First thing, where do I get my lumber? I get my lumber a lot of times from Lowe's or Home Depot, the box stores. You get a little bit better price, and I'm also buying construction grade material, which means I'm not really paying a lot for it anyways because it's not the greatest wood in the world. But there's a reason. First of all, we want to use a softwood. We want to use hemlock, fir, pine, spruce, basically all woods that are deemed white woods. There's two reasons for that. One, we want a soft grain. What we're gonna do is we're gonna burn this and we're going to basically scoop out the soft springwood that's in between the actual grain of the wood. When you use a hardwood, it's a lot more difficult to remove that material. The second reason for those species is because they're lighter in color. So if you take a piece of paper, you take a red marker, and you draw on that white piece of paper, you're gonna get red on that piece of paper. If I take a brown piece of paper, I color it with a red marker, the red's not gonna really show up. It's going to be a very altered version of that red. Same thing here, we want a blank white canvas as much as we possibly can. Now where I'm at, hemlock and Doug fir are a lot more readily available, so that's what I'm gonna grab. Hemlock's gonna be a little bit lighter in color though, and that's basically how you want to decide which piece you pick up, because you could get into a pile that has a little bit of everything. You just want to grab the lighter colored pieces. It doesn't really matter what the species is. That's one of the first things I look for, is the lightness in color. The second one is going to be grain. Now there's a few different things that goes into the grain selection, and part of it is going to be this. So we want to go with the outside of the tree as our face as much as possible. Now you can't always get away with that. Sometimes you have to split a piece in half like I've done here, and without a bunch of milling to it, you're gonna just have to use the back side of that. So it's gonna depend on your project, what you're actually doing. My recommendation is grab a few pieces of all kinds of stuff and just try it and see what happens. For me, I'm gonna look at the outside of the tree. So basically we're gonna take the rings and we're just gonna be looking for this outside. That's gonna give us a nice grain pattern. Now if you go with something that's cut a little bit different, you're gonna get stripes. Stripes can be really cool, but if you're going for more of that kind of marbly effect like we used in our sample here, you're gonna wanna look for the outside tree rings. That probably didn't make sense, just don't worry about it. Now there's a couple different reasons for that. One is it's going to give you a better burn. I know that doesn't make sense, but trust me, when you start doing it, you'll come to realize that it's gonna burn a little bit different on the outside. And it's also going to brush a lot better on the outside. You're gonna be able to dig back down to that natural color of the wood. Okay, so now we know what kind of material we're gonna look for. We know kind of how to select it based on color and grain. Something else that you're probably gonna come across is knots. Now, knots like this, that's probably not gonna be that big of a deal. What you wanna avoid is knots like this. Sorry, this lens is a little slow to adjust. You're gonna wanna avoid that because the flame's not gonna reach inside of that hole and burn, and you're not gonna be able to brush inside of that hole. So what's gonna happen is when you go to put your color on top of that, it's gonna fill up that hole. You won't be able to dig it out. It's gonna look really blotchy. So you wanna stay away from that. Those smaller knots you can work around, and they actually give a really pretty effect. Let's see if I have one laying here. Something like this. Now you can see those little ones, no big deal. This bigger one here, that one's gonna fill up a little bit, but it's still not that big of a deal. You wanna avoid major holes and major tore up stuff. And you're digging through construction grade lumber, you're gonna have to look a little bit and try and really select what it is that you're going for. Oh, moisture content, I almost forgot. So remember we talked about this little rainbow here. This is the outside of the tree, and when wood dries, it's gonna wanna cup up that way towards the outside of the tree. Typically, there's variables in there. It could be the thickness of it. I mean, really thin pieces, they're gonna cup no matter what you do. If you burn a really thin piece of wood, it's just gonna disintegrate. A piece like this, if it was really wet, that moisture coming out of it, especially at a rapid pace, is gonna wanna make this thing twist and warp and move. So, going back to our construction grade material, look for a stamp that says KD. That KD does not stand for Kevin Durant. I wish it did. That would be so awesome if you had a stand. Never mind. KD stands for kiln dried. That kiln dried stuff is what you want to look for. What we don't want is we don't want to get what is essentially a green piece of lumber, not in color, it's moisture content, right? You're never going to be able to use it. It'll never dry out, and it won't take your coloring either. So that's something to think about. Look for a soft wood like spruce, pine, fir. Look for our grain selection. Look for our moisture content. And if we really need to, look for the knot placement and stuff like that. All those things combined, you'll be able to find some really pretty pieces in there. You'll be able to get some really nice looking stuff. So my suggestion to you is just to play around with it. Go take a look, go see what's out there and available. If you want to get a really pretty piece like this, look for a really pretty piece like this. This is gonna be on the outside of it. You can see all that stuff. It's not like we're digging into the middle and looking for a piece of gold here. I mean, all this stuff is gonna be on the surface. I have a whole bunch of stuff here. I just grabbed some, cut it up, and I've burned it and brushed it, and that's actually why I'm doing this video right now, because I needed a break from brushing, because it can be a pain in the butt. All right, I've rambled long enough. If you guys wanna know more about what the rest of this process is, hit the subscribe button. I'm gonna be releasing some other videos that have to do with this. One's gonna be about brushing techniques. One's gonna be about coloring. I don't know what else I'm gonna do, but we'll get there. Okay, so that's it for this time. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you guys later.